What's going on? I want you to take your time and answer this. Would you ever cheat on your husband? Now don't answer that. Just listen to me. My name is Anonymous. This is my story. I met my husband when I was 19 years old. He was 26. We were set up by my brother. He's the one who told me that he wanted to meet me because he thought we would be a good match. And indeed we were. We had our first date at this little Italian restaurant that was always bustling with people. It was crowded and loud, but still we could hear each other talking. There was no awkward silence. It felt so easy. We both knew from the get-go that this was something special. We started dating for 6 months before he proposed. I moved in with him right away. We lived together for another 6 months before he proposed again. I think he proposed a total of 13 times before I finally agreed. What can I say? I wanted to savor the moment. I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. After all, it's not a decision that you can just undo. Marriage is forever. At least that's what they say. I never thought that I would get married young. In fact, I never thought that I would get married at all. Then I met him and everything changed. I think what made me fall in love with him was the fact that he was like anyone that I had dated in the past. He wasn't handsome. In fact, I thought he was kind of goofy looking, but he was different. He was sweet, caring, intelligent. He treated me like a queen. He was also a millionaire, which helped, of course. But I honestly believe that even if he hadn't had a penny to his name, I would have loved him anyway. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. When we got married, we didn't go on a honeymoon. We couldn't afford it. Instead, we took a road trip down south. We stayed in cheap motels and ate fast food. But even in those humble beginnings, I felt so much love for him. I couldn't get enough of him. We spent our first night together in a rundown motel in Oklahoma. I remember how awkward it was. Neither one of us knew what to do. We were both virgins. I remember how his hands trembled as he touched me for the first time. It was beautiful. I've never been a virgin myself, but for some reason it mattered to me that he wasn't. It gave me a sense of purity, a feeling of innocence that I craved. Our sex life was amazing. We tried everything. We experimented with different positions, different toys. We were always trying new things. I remember how he would please me for hours on end. He was so patient, so loving. Sometimes I would just lay there and think to myself, how did I get so lucky? How did I deserve someone so wonderful? I got pregnant 3 months after we were married. I threw up every day for the first 4 months. I hated being pregnant. I hated the way my body looked, the way I felt. I couldn't keep my food down. I lost so much weight. I was miserable, but he was so supportive. He took care of me, brought me food, rubbed my back when I was sick. When I finally gave birth to our son, I felt a love that I had never felt before. It was so overwhelming that I cried. I remember how I held him in my arms and thought, this is the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen in my life. He was so cute, so tiny, so perfect. For the first year of his life, I couldn't imagine anything more important than being a mother. I loved my son more than anything else in the world. Then I got pregnant again. This time it was a girl. I loved being pregnant with her. I gained so much weight, but I felt beautiful. I remember how I would look at my swollen belly and think, wow, I am creating life. How amazing is that? She was born 2 weeks early. When she was placed in my arms, I felt so much joy that I burst out crying. I remember how I cradled her and whispered, I love you so much. Both my children were adopted by my husband from his previous marriage, so we didn't actually have any children together. I loved them both more than anything else in the world. They were my everything. I would have done anything for them. I was so happy. I had the perfect husband, the perfect kids. What more could I ask for? Then it happened. My daughter was 6 years old, and my son was 8. One Saturday morning, my husband woke up early and went to the store to pick up some stuff for the house. Well, that was normal. He always did that. I was making breakfast when the phone rang. It was my husband. He asked me to come to the store as soon as possible. When I got there, I found him standing next to a cop car. He was pale and shaking. The police officer was talking to him. When he saw me, his face fell. I could tell something was wrong. I could see it in his eyes. They drove me home in silence. When we got inside, he told me that our son had been hit by a car and killed. The driver was drunk and ran away. My heart stopped beating. I don't remember anything after that. They took me to the hospital. I was hysterical. I couldn't stop crying. I kept asking why. No one had an answer. A week later, I came home. I couldn't take care of myself. I was so broken. My husband was with me every step of the way. He held me. He comforted me. He loved me. I don't know what I would have done without him. But as time passed, I noticed something strange about him. He was distant. He would come into my room at night and hold me, but it was like he was somewhere else. It was like he was a zombie. I would reach out and touch him and he would flinch. I knew something was wrong, but he wouldn't tell me what it was. I begged him to talk to me, but he just pushed me away. One night I followed him. I wanted to find out what he was hiding. I found him in this little cafe downtown. He was sitting in a booth across from a woman. I knew that woman. I had seen her around. She was one of my husband's coworkers. He saw me and he panicked. He tried to pretend that he didn't know me. He tried to act like I wasn't there, but I was. I walked over to their table and I said, "What are you doing here?" He looked at me and I could see the pain in his eyes. He looked away and said nothing. The woman stood up and left. Then he told me the truth. He told me that he was having an affair with this woman. He was sorry, he said. He didn't know what he was doing. He loved me, but he needed to be with her. I felt so betrayed. I felt so angry. I felt so hurt. How could he do this to me? How could he do this to my daughter? I mean, I understood why he was with her. She was young and beautiful, and I was an old, fat, ugly mother. But still, I was hurt. I was devastated. I moved in with my sister. I couldn't stay in that house. I couldn't breathe the same air that he breathed. I couldn't look at him without wanting to scream. It was too painful, and my sister let me stay with her as long as I needed. I didn't go back to that house. I didn't see my husband again. 6 months later, I met a guy online. His name was Anonymous. He was older than me, but he was really nice. He understood me, he loved me, he made me laugh. We started dating. I moved in with him after a few months. Got pregnant shortly after that. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want a baby. Just got out of one abusive relationship, and I didn't want to start another one. He didn't understand. He wanted a baby, said that it was a blessing from God. I didn't feel the same way. So now I'm here. I'm pregnant, and I don't know what to do. Should I keep the baby, or should I give it up for adoption? Do you think that my husband will ever come back to me? If you want to hear what I decided, then click on the next chapter.